Good morning. This week's Sunday morning message will be out of the book of Proverbs, chapter 26. As snow in summer and rain in harvest, so honor is not fitting for a fool. Like a fitting sparrow, like a flying swallow, so a curse without cause shall not alight. A whip for the horse, a bridle for the donkey, and a rod for the fool's back. Do not answer a fool according to his folly, lest you also be like him. Answer a fool according to his folly, lest he be wise in his own eyes. These apparently contradictory proverbs are compatible with each other if we recognize that each one teaches a separate truth. If you imitate the style of a fool, you yourself are one. But if you respond to him as you would to a wise man, he will think himself one. He who sends a message by the hand of a fool cuts off his own feet and drinks violence. One should never expect a good result by sending a message by the hand of a fool. It is like harming oneself. Curiously, God chose the foolish things of the world to be his messengers, 1 Corinthians chapter 1, verse 27. But he wants them to be something better than fools in his work. Like the legs of the lame that hang limp is a proverb in the mouth of fools. Like one who binds a stone in a sling is he who gives honor to a fool. Like a thorn that goes into the hand of a drunkard is a proverb in the mouth of fools. The great God who formed everything gives the fool his hire, and the transgressor his wages. As a dog returns to his own vomit, so a fool repeats his folly. Do you see a man wise in his own eyes? There is more hope for a fool than for him. In a series of like-thus statements, Solomon colorfully explains the nature of the fool. The fool's possession of wisdom, such as a proverb in the mouth, is useless like the legs of the lame. The fool's receiving of honor is stupid, like the one who binds a stone in a sling, so that it can't be cast out. The fool's attempt to proclaim wisdom brings pain, like a thorn that goes in the hand of a drunkard. God's guidance and governing over all things extends to the fool and the transgressor. He will make sure they get what is due, as both their hire and their wages. A fool will not change their ways apart from a dramatic transformation. Just as it is in the dog's nature to return to his vomit, it is the fool's nature to repeat his folly. 2 Peter chapter 2, verse 22 used this verse to illustrate the impulsive nature of a sinner returning to their sin. Do you see a man wise in his own eyes? Despite the severe treatment of a fool, Solomon thought of a man in even worse danger, the proud man, the one wise in his own eyes. This is a special type of folly, one that will never learn the ways of wisdom. The lazy man says, there is a lion in the road. A fierce lion is in the streets. As a door turns on its hinges, so does the lazy man on his bed. The lazy man buries his hand in the bowl. It wearies him to bring it back to his mouth. The lazy man is wiser in his own eyes than 7 men who can answer sensibly. The lazy man will create any excuse to avoid work. A lion in the road was a virtual impossibility in biblical times. The lazy man shows creative talent, imagining not only a lion, but a fierce lion in a form of work. But it is dedicated to the effort of avoiding work. The only way a door could turn on its hinges, the only turning the lazy man does, is on his bed. The lack of energy and initiative in the lazy man is so profound that he can't or won't properly care for his personal needs. The lazy man may lack energy and initiative, but he doesn't lack a high opinion of himself. He considers himself smarter than 7 men who could answer sensibly. The lazy man has great confidence in his own abilities, but never seems to accomplish much. He who passes by and meddles in a quarrel not his own is like one who takes a dog by the ears. Some find it irresistible to get involved in the disputes of other people. The quarrel doesn't really belong to them, but he makes it his own. Jesus knew when not to get involved in another's dispute, Luke chapter 12, verse 14. It is a foolish and dangerous thing to take a dog by the ears, Once he does, it's hard to let go without getting bit, and the dog never appreciates it. Like a madman who throws firebrands, arrows, and death is a man who deceives his neighbor and says, "I was only joking." Solomon painted the picture of a fierce warrior with many weapons, spreading destruction everywhere. The man who plays tricks on others, deceiving them and covering it by saying, "I was only joking." Where there is no wood, the fire goes out, and where there is no talebearer, strife ceases. As charcoal is to burning coals, and wood to fire, so is a contentious man to kindle strife. The words of a talebearer are like tasty trifles, and they go down into the inmost body. Just as wood fuels a fire, so the talebearer or gossip fuels strife. The fire won't continue to burn without the wood, and the strife won't continue when the talebearer stops their work. James described the power of the words to set a destructive fire in James chapter 3, verse 6. Strife doesn't create itself. It has a maker, and it is the gossip, the talebearer, the contentious man. The words of a talebearer are like tasty trifles. This proverb, repeated from Proverbs chapter 18, verse 8, explains that the gossip and evil reports brought by the talebearer are almost impossible to resist. Those who should know better find it difficult to tell the talebearer to stop talking. When we receive the words of a talebearer, they normally have an effect on us. The words go down into us and often change the way we think or feel about people, even if what the talebearer says isn't true or isn't confirmed. God gave a strong warning regarding the confirmation of testimony. Deuteronomy chapter 19, verse 15, 2 Corinthians chapter 3, verse 1, and 1 Timothy chapter 5, verse 19. Fervent lips with a wicked heart are like earthenware, covered with silver dross. Now, don't those three verses sound familiar? Maybe it sounds a lot like some people that we could think of. And maybe you yourself won't admit it, but maybe it sounds like you. It is common for those who hate others, God or men, to disguise it with their words. They don't want to give up their hate, but they don't want to be known as a hater. The secret hater deceives others, but he also deceives himself. He imagines himself to be a better man than he really is. This secret hater should not be trusted. Even if he speaks kindly, his words do not reflect the true thoughts of his heart. His hatred is covered by deceit. His wickedness will be revealed before the assembly. Now, whether this assembly is in the world or in the world to come, the wickedness and evil heart of the secret hater will be revealed. Whoever digs a pit will fall into it, and he who rolls a stone will have it roll back on him. A lying tongue hates those who are crushed by it, and a flattering mouth works ruin. In his judgments, God often appoints the people that reap what they sow, that he will treat them the same way they have treated others. They will fall into the pit they dug for others. The stone they rolled against someone will roll back on them. The liar does his destruction without sympathy for others. He does not feel sorry for the ones he crushes. He actively hates them. Flattery is another way the lying tongue brings ruin. Their flattering mouth builds pride and manipulates others for their deceptive goals.